News out of the Greenbrier event has been quiet, so we're going to take a look at Uncle Pete's tweets. Hey Vault Dwellers, JV here, and today we're discussing companions and more in Fallout 76. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for more Fallout 76 videos just like this. Since the start of the West Virginia press event, we've gotten a few blurry off-screen pictures, but no concrete information. Perhaps we'll get something more substantial later this week, but until then, it's time for another round of Uncle Pete's tweets, which actually share some new insights. Magic asks, if a party member shoots someone and they shoot back, do I do slap or full damage should I choose to join in? This is a great question. Pete says players are treated individually. So even if you're grouped up with someone and say they're on the other side of the map or they're right next to you and they want to engage in PvP combat, you're not automatically sucked in with them. And I think this is great. I think this is going to encourage more random players to group up and complete activities together because you are not held to whatever decisions and actions they take in regards to PvP. You are individual. Dragons Are Cool asks, if I'm out with a friend and we find a chest, will it have a separate inventory or just one shared inventory, or will I take everything? Will it be empty for him? Pete says containers are instants, meaning everyone gets a chance to loot them and what each player finds can be different. In general, items sitting around the world, like a roll of duct tape on a table, are not instants, and if someone grabs that, others cannot. Benigma follows up by asking, will it respawn eventually? And Pete says yes. So this gives us more insight. We already knew that containers were instants. So if you pick something up out of a container and your friend's with you, you guys are going to see things that are completely different. But now we know that things are just out in the world. Those are not instants. Those are actually physical objects that everyone sees. So again, if I see that roll of duct tape and I grab it first, my friend does not get it, but it eventually will respawn. And I think that's how a lot of things are going to work in this game. For example, enemies. In Fallout 4, if you cleared out an area, they wouldn't respawn until like 2 weeks later in game time. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but I assume that's how it's going to be in this game, but probably a shorter respawn timer since it's an online game, 24 players per server. We don't want to run into areas that don't have any people in them. This is also going to make me want to run for these items first and get them for myself, but also consider putting on some charisma perks that'll maybe share those item pickups with my friends. I don't think we've seen any perks like that, but I think that probably will exist. Martin says, I was wondering what would happen if I were to kill a player marked as a murderer, but they have no caps on them. What would the bounty be? Pete says, in that case, I don't think you get an additional caps reward. You get a basic reward, but not a bounty from them. But they do receive a debuff penalty. The amount of damage they can do to anything gets lowered for some amount of time. This is awesome info because I know a lot of people were worried, like, what if I just empty all my caps into my stash, my personal stash, and then go on a killing spree? There's no penalty for me being a jerk, being a wanted murderer. And Pete says, you do get caps, like a basic, just baseline reward for killing the murderer no matter what. That exists in the game. But also, if you're a murderer and you don't have anything to give up, you'll get a debuff. And I wonder how long they want this to last, if they want it to be really punishing, because I feel like that is something that trolls are just going to want to throw on. And maybe trolls isn't fair, but people that are interested in player killing, they're going to take everything off and then bam, they have no penalty. No, you are going to have a penalty. You're going to have a debuff. So I don't know, several hours? I feel like this should definitely be punishing. If you're going to player kill, there should be consequences. Along the same lines, Doctor asked, does everyone get the debuff for murder or is it just people without caps? Pete says people without caps. They get that if they don't have the caps to pay for the bounty, so they do less damage in PvE and PvP for long enough that hopefully they stop murdering. So there you go. That's the answer there. So I don't know, 12 hours, 24 hours? We don't really know at this point. Chunky asked a question about the pacifist flag. Does that prevent PvP damage or reduce it? And can you still murder with the flag on? Pete says you can still be murdered with the pacifist flag on, but the damage you take is reduced, so it takes a while, and there's ways to escape if you really want out. Pretty sure you could just fast travel out while you're being attacked by another player. So if that's true, if I really do not want to PvP at all, I can escape at any time. And this is interesting because I know there's a lot of people who are actually on the other side of this argument that are complaining like, oh, there's not enough for me to play like a raider to really truly player kill. But if you allow everyone to fast travel whenever they want, even when they're being attacked in PvP, I feel like that's just going to be a default. Like, what if I'm losing the fight and I'm, I decide I want to engage and then I go hide and fast travel out? I don't know how I feel about this one. I think you should only be able to fast travel in a PvP situation if you have that pacifist flag on, because you've already said, I don't want to deal with this. So the game says, okay, we'll help you get out of here. But if you don't have that on, I don't think you should be able to fast travel. Adrian asks, will there be radios that players can use to broadcast to other players? Can you get the option to upload audio files to make your own radio channel for other players? Pete says you don't get your own radio station. Plain and simple. People were wondering. There's your answer. Malthy asks if cross-save is a thing. People use different systems. Pete says until a few days ago, neither cross-play nor cross-saving was possible across all platforms. We'll look into what can be done when we get through the beta and launch and whatever issues need to be resolved there. This is something I would love to see. Some games support this and I think it's fantastic. As a streamer and, YouTuber, I want to be playing with as many of you guys as possible. As you guys know, I'm going to be streaming from the beta's start on October 23rd. Pretty much for a very long time after that, and I want to be playing with as many of you guys as possible. Since crossplay isn't possible, I'm going to be on every single system. I want to be able to carry over my character. I mean, I'm willing to create new characters, but it would be really nice to have one central Bethesda.net save that I could bring across each platform. Now for a really big question, Andre says, will there be companions in this game? Pete says, if you decide to group with other players. This is not enough for me to close the book on companions completely, but I'm pretty sure we could all assume that human NPC companions would not be in the game. People were thinking maybe super mutants, maybe ghouls, any NPC companions, and even robots. I've made a video on this because of the Vault-Tec video where they had an automatron defending a camp. And I still believe that is a possibility. It's been mentioned in the NoClip doc, so maybe something there. But in terms of an NPC that follows you around and protects you, a dog meat, anything like that, I don't know. It sounds like the answer is no, but I wouldn't take this as an official confirmation just yet. Tyler asks if melee builds will be a viable choice as a primary source of damage for endgame PvE encounters. Great question. Pete says, I haven't tried it, but there's a lot of melee support in the way of perks and weapons. So just a little bit of info there. Pete, from his own perspective, says that there's enough there. We don't know what Pete's metric is for enough. We don't know if that satisfies what the more hardcore community expects out of melee build viability, so we'll have to see there. I love melee, and I'm interested to see how it works in this game, so keeping my fingers crossed. Also keeping my fingers crossed for new concrete information. If there's nothing new coming out of this event in the next day or so, I may skip a day or two of videos. I don't want to just shovel out useless videos, and I hope you guys understand that. All right, that's it for this video. In the comments section, tell me what you think is a fair debuff time penalty for PvP. Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed the video, remember to subscribe and hit the bell for more Fallout 76 content like my last video where we covered the newest Todd Howard interview. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.